One of the biggest successes of pandemic cinema was Mortal Kombat, an action-focused reboot of the movie franchise based on the games. Thanks to that success, the movie is due for a sequel and maybe even a threequel. Since you might end up watching the movie again in anticipation, in this video we're going to brief you real quick on the cast members and their profiles, so to speak. We'll start with the franchise lead, Lewis Tan, who portrays Cole Young in the movie. Cole is an original character created just for the movie. He ends up uniting the combatants of Earthrealm to stand up against Shang Tsung's attempts to kill them off. He's also important to the story as he joins us in learning about the universe of the Mortal Kombat movie. Lewis Tan should be a recognizable enough face for American audiences. An IRL martial artist, he's played the role of Lu Xing Li in the short-lived Netflix series Wu Assassins, as well as Gaius Chow in the slightly longer-lived Into the Badlands. But his biggest role so far was as Shatterstar in Deadpool 2, one of Rob Liefeld's creations of the 90s. Shatterstar featured in the film as a member of X-Force. Fans got really excited when X-Force showed up since there was the possibility that we'd get some X-Force movies. But then, of course, Disney ate up Fox and they have their own plans. Tan has also done a fair bit of stunt work. His stunt credits include The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End, and Olympus Has Fallen. You can see why he was a good fit to headline a very action-focused series. His career has a lot of room to grow, and yet he's not completely new to Hollywood either. Considering how many major movie franchises have failed because their star was either too inexperienced for the job or too old for such a long commitment, the studio seems to have nailed the balance with Tan. We're excited to see more of him in the Mortal Kombat universe, but we're also interested to see what other doors this can open for him. We'll start looking at Mortal Kombat favorites with Ludi Lin's Liu Kang. Liu Kang has always been one of the faces of the Mortal Kombat video games, and in the overarching story of the games, he's one of the main protagonists. Getting the right casting for him was important, and Ludi Lin did pretty well as the movie Kang. In the movie, Liu Kang and his best friend Kung Lao are already training with Raiden for the Mortal Kombat tournament, and they help the newcomers find their own hidden strengths. Ludi Lin has been in 2 franchise adaptations so far. He portrayed the Black Ranger in the 2017 adaptation of Power Rangers, and he also played Merc in Aquaman. Besides those, he was also in Son of the South, which was based on the life of civil rights activist Bob Zellner. From there, we move on to Kung Lao, portrayed by Max Huang. If you see Liu Kang, you can be sure that Kung Lao won't be far behind. He too has become a memorable face of the franchise, his blade-rimmed hat being a very nasty tool to perform fatalities with. In the movie, he's played by Max Huang, a German actor, martial artist, and stunt performer. Huang has appeared in a number of movies, but mostly as extras. Mortal Kombat is turning out to be his big break. If we do end up getting a Mortal Kombat trilogy, that would be great for Huang's career profile. Playing Kung Lao, of all characters, is a big deal, and he did pretty well in a role that people would definitely hang their judgment of the overall movie on. In contrast with Lewis Tan, Huang was definitely thrust into the limelight as Kung Lao, and he may end up in a more leading role as the character in future movies. That must be both exciting and a little scary for him. Another Mortal Kombat stalwart is Jax Briggs, played in this movie by Makad Brooks. A leader of the Special Forces unit that turns up in the Mortal Kombat universe, Jax and his metal arms go all the way back to Mortal Kombat 2. In the movie, he's the one to recruit Cole to his gaggle of misfits investigating the Mortal Kombat tournament. He's played by Makad Brooks. While Brooks has been around for a bit, his past roles don't seem to lead him to a role in a brutal, action-packed movie. For one thing, his experience is mostly in the TV world, where he played Matthew Applewhite in Desperate Housewives and Benedict Talley in True Blood. That, along with his appearances elsewhere on TV. His 2 recent credits are Supergirl and Law & Order. Now, if he were playing a superhero on Supergirl, we'd see how he ended up as Jax. But in fact, he was playing a race-swap Jimmy Olsen. Law & Order, on the other hand, has him on the main cast as Detective Jalen Shaw. Between all these roles and Jax, Brooks has really proven that he's a versatile actor. He's probably the only one from the Desperate Housewives cast anyone would think could handle himself in a fight. Of course, you can't have Jax without Sonya Blade, portrayed by Jessica McNamee. The first female character of the Mortal Kombat franchise, Sonya is a member of the Special Forces unit led by Jax. Her arch nemesis is Kano, who happens to be in this movie too. In the movie, her character, as portrayed by Jessica McNamee, is introduced as working with Jax to uncover the truth of the Mortal Kombat tournament. Kano starts off the movie as a part of their group, but he doesn't stay that way. Hailing from Australia, McNamee became famous for roles in the Australian soap operas Home and Away away and packed to the rafters. She also had a major role on Sirens, an American adaptation of the British comedy series. For most of us, though, we were introduced to McNamee through her role on The Meg. While her role in The Meg as Laurie Taylor was as a secondary character, the surprise success of the shark movie definitely pushed her right into the spotlight. We wouldn't be surprised if there was a direct link between her appearance on The Meg and her headlining role in Mortal Kombat. We'll finish by talking about the two most recognizable characters of the franchise. First, there's Sub-Zero, played by Joe Taslim. Even if you've only ever played Mortal Kombat at your friend's place, we don't think you need too much of an introduction to Sub-Zero. He's the Ice Guy. The movie adapts his story from the games pretty directly, portraying him and his Lin Kuei clan members as murdering Scorpion's family. For the movie, they even broke out the big guns and cast Joe Taslim. If you watch a decent amount of Asian cinema, then you don't need an introduction to Joe Taslim either. He was a lead cast member of The Raid. He also had major roles in American movies, namely Ja in Fast and Furious 6 and Anderson Lee in Star Trek Beyond. He definitely brings a breadth of martial arts experience to the role of Sub-Zero, and his fight with Scorpion is a major highlight of the movie. Speaking of whom, finally, we gotta talk about Hiroyuki Sanada's Scorpion. There are three phases that are absolutely synonymous with Mortal Kombat: finish him, fatality, and come over here. The last one is an iconic line of Scorpion's. While the games cast Scorpion as towing the line between good and evil, his role in the movie is pretty sympathetic. Like, his family gets murdered right at the start. Putting him on the side of the good guys makes sense for another reason. No shade on the cast, but they don't get nothing on Hiroyuki Sanada. Whether you watch Asian movies or stick to American cinema, this wouldn't be anyone's first time seeing Sanada on the big screen. His filmography is long, and just in the past 2 decades, he was in Rush Hour 3, Speed Racer, and The Wolverine. He was also on the voice cast of Minions, which is to him what the Emoji Movie was to Patrick Stewart. And he doesn't stick to the big screen either. He's had major roles on Lost, Revenge, and the short-lived sci-fi series Helix and Extant. He also had a few appearances on Westworld and a brief appearance on Hawkeye, where he reprised a character from Avengers Endgame. If you thought we'd leave out his MCU stint in this segment, you were wrong. Even after Mortal Kombat came out, he appeared in Army of the Dead, the recently released Bullet Train, and the upcoming John Wick Chapter 4. He'll also be a lead character in the miniseries Shogun, adapted from James Clavell's novel of the same name. It's clear that for audiences around the world, Sanada is the embodiment of Asian badassery. If there was a better choice for Scorpion, we certainly can't think of any. We do, however, welcome your ideas in the comments section. That's it for today's video. What do you think of the Mortal Kombat movie? Do you think these actors did justice to their characters? And are you excited for the sequels? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't finish your time with us without liking, sharing, or subscribing.